Okay, so I had a weird day yesterday. I just woke up and I didn't have any dreams last night, which is really weird because I've been having dreams back to back every night. But it's not that weird, I guess, because I had a very small amount, but a significant amount of cannabis. So I'll just start at the beginning of the story. Um, went out yesterday to go and explore. And I ran into a group of very, very interesting people, who apparently are kind of like, okay, I've met famous people before, like not A-list celebrities. We're not talking A-list celebrities. We're just talking like, I would call them categorically famous people. So like, hmm, I don't know, like popular. Maybe we won't say famous. Maybe we'll just say popular. So I met some popular people. We went out and hung out for a little bit, and then like we went to hang out at a couple of different bars downtown, and one of them there was like even more people who were, according to them, famous or popular people at this place that weren't in our group but that were just also there that they knew, I guess. See, I'm out of the loop. I'm not a very like plugged in person. I tend to be more in my like academic and like fantasy world, and I'm not very plugged into certain culture, like most culture. Like people have described me as an otaku, like that I mostly just play video games and shit. And so my taste in music is offbeat. And so, I mean, I'm very on beat, but like I'm off the beaten path, I guess is a better way of putting this. So, um, I guess I don't really know like the same kinds of famous or popular people as others. Like my interests tend to be a little weird, is what I'm saying. So, like I've met Teal Swan before, and like I've met some interesting like authors and stuff, but not a lot of like movie stars. So it was just weird. Um. Anyway, I went out and had two non-alcoholic beers, which were really, really yummy. Um, I I don't really know beer, so I'm no expert, but I enjoyed them. And then um, I had one with alcohol in it. It was more like a cider, and it was really yummy. It was so like fruity and stuff. I enjoyed it. So this is like kind of what is going to prime my visions later on. So one beer, some non-alcoholics. Then we went to a different place, and I had two CBD drinks. But on our way, I had a puff of like a joint, and I don't normally have joints like when I smoke or vape. I'm more like vape, and it's usually like a dab. Like I'll usually dab. I don't usually like enjoy. I mean, it's not a problem, but I try to stay away from really a harsh, thick smoke and go for the like vape because it's better on the lungs. And I just, you know me, I'm just trying to be nicer to my lungs and stuff. And so, in my background, of course, with smoking, it goes a long way back. I guess you could say I'm reaching a point where, not consistently, definitely on or off, and with tolerance breaks, one could say that I've smoked for longer than I've been alive now. So I'm turning 33. I started smoking tobacco specifically when I was around 15, 16. So, um, that's one of the reasons I like to stay away from it. I feel like I'm at a point in my life where it's more of an adventure not to do those things than to do those things, because I've just done that a lot. Um, but this was some really good weed. Like it was really good weed, and I was like, fine, okay, we'll do this. And it was good. And the high was so unbelievably creative, and I will tell you a little bit about this because earlier in my previous video I mentioned marijuana is a very linguistic and lyrical and cerebral trip as compared to mushrooms, which is very like heart pumping, visual, auditory, physically active thing with a lot of much more complicated, or I don't even know if complicated is the right word, but much more sensory complex experience for me. So, anywho, we started, we were just in transit from one bar to the other, and I took 2 puffs on a little joint, and it was nice. And I got to the bar, and I bought, 2, actually, someone bought my drinks for me, which was super cute. But I only had, 2 of these 30 milligram CBD drinks. I had 60 milligrams of CBD and 2 puffs of a marijuana cigarette. So the contrast is that I had a lot of CBD and a little bit of THC, and it created a weird trip. A really, really good trip. Anxiety-free, paranoia-free, high clarity, calming, funny, relaxing, really interesting trip with great conversation with people. Everyone else was several drinks in, and I had one drink many hours, a couple hours before that. And so it was basically what I described it to them is I was just talking drugs a little bit last night because some people were really interesting. There were some really interesting hippies in the group. And so one went, I described marijuana in my terms, how I'd visualize it as a drug. Marijuana is 2 drugs. One of the drugs is going up and the other is going down. So let's say THC is going up because they call it getting high. So THC takes you up and CBD takes you down. And they were comparing it to an uppers and a downers, or caffeine and alcohol. And I was explaining to them that while that is a really good metaphor, it's problematic because alcohol and caffeine are a macronutrient, micronutrient, and they aren't direct antagonists because alcohol operates on multiple biogenic amines. So we're talking dopamine, serotonin, glutamate, GABA, norepinephrine, and I'm missing one, but there's many different major neurotransmitters that alcohol affects, whereas caffeine is much more narrow. It's acetylcholine. Oh my god, how could I forget acetylcholine? So caffeine, tobacco, and alcohol also affect acetylcholine, which is huge neurotransmitter that deals with motor neurons, especially in the peripheral nervous system, and how you can feel your body moving and your perception of movement and the sensation of movement, and potentially I think balance as well. So acetylcholine is also really weird. It's not considered a traditional psychotropic neurotransmitter by a lot of the mainstream, in a lot of the mainstream research, but I do feel that it is a powerful psychotropic neuron that can be felt and perceived when it's altered in your body. So we're talking about this. We're talking about how there's the THC, there's THC, and then there's CBDs, not just CBD, but there's CBs. So there's CBA, CBD, CG, CGN, CG, whatever. There's all kinds. And I'm just going to class those as the cannabinoids, but even though THC is a cannabinoid, but we'll just say we'll call them the CBs actually. And so THC is taking you up. It gets you, it's a psychedelic. And so it's going to raise that heart rate. It's going to give you, I think it takes you into a kind of almost a parallel reality in some sense, where you perceive reality differently than you would without the psychedelic, whereas the CBs are antipsychotics. So they take you down, they calm you down, they take you back to reality, they make you feel less paranoid, less anxious. They make you feel really grounded. They make you feel really, really calm. In my opinion, they make you feel really smiley. So THC is a nervous and trippy experience, and then for me, and I respond kind of intensely to high amounts of THC. In my opinion, I have a good way of comparing this to other people's trips, of course. So I'm just kind of talking myself, but and I had some ideas. I had some dreams while I was awake, on my way back home. So I hung out with them for a while. It was cool. And then before the sun went down, I explored downtown. It was really pretty, like as the sun was setting, and took some pictures. I was thinking movies the entire time. I was like, oh my gosh, so you could make a movie here, you could make a movie here, you could make a movie here. I feel like I've seen a movie here. Like, anyway, and it was just really interesting. So my background's in film editing, which is why I think like that. Not all the time, but sometimes. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was just like, this would be really funny, because I was watching, I don't remember the name of it, but it was this anime, not super popular one, but a good one. It was a good little like anime, about, um, like a zombie apocalypse, but it was in, I guess it was in Seoul. It was in Korea, so there was a lot of like, it reminded me of Dying Light. There were a lot of components of what I would describe as climbing or even parkour. Not very much, but like mostly climbing. So like they would use buildings and scaffolding to escape. And I was walking around Portland, and all I was looking at was scaffolding. I was like, oh, you climb up that pole, you could jump onto that canopy, or they're called like an awning. You could jump on that awning, and then that would give you access to the stairwell. And then once you got onto that fire escape, you could take it all the way up to the top of the building. So I was just like, I saw 10 of those all over town, and like I only took a picture of a few of them, but I was immediately thinking like, okay, that would be awesome to make a live action, maybe not a zombie movie, but like a movie where with in that like niche of being in a survival crisis, chased by maybe some type of pandemic, but being chased by all these like different, like it could be like sort of zombies, but for me I was thinking like, what if they had different traits or attributes, or what if humans were turning into ghouls instead of zombies, or giants instead of zombies, or we're dealing with the nano machines and marijuana was just going off. It was just like, bam, here's an idea, boom, here's an idea, boom, here's an idea. It was like, what if there were hyper spiders? And hyper spiders are like these small machines that are like spider size. They look like spiders, except they have thousands of legs instead of 8 legs. And they are nano machines. They're made out of metal, so they can slice through flesh with their legs. And so I just was having dreams of the like open eye, well, not open eye, it was like imagination. It wasn't a hallucination, but it was like partially visual for me because I'm an artist. So I was seeing like hyper spiders, or like basically swarms and swarms of these nanomachines running across the buildings, like picking objects up and moving them along, like it's kind of like a tide, taking objects out and back out to sea. But no, we're talking like urban jungle, like tons of spiders all over the buildings. The spiders are just like, the hyper spiders are moving across the building and like creating optical illusions and weird effects with the basically making all the solid surface objects, making their textures feel like they're moving and swimming around and stuff. It was very bizarre. And then there were giga spiders. So giga spiders are even scarier. They're really tiny nanomachines on the scale of like bacteria, and they're covered in millions of cilia, and they're capable of doing similar things. Not even really similar, but kind of in many ways similar things, but instead from almost like a molecular level, or a very small, not molecular, what's the term? A much smaller scale anyway, than the hyper spiders. These were examples of like bad AI. Another example would be like AIs that could chip people, like put chips into people to control them. Not that that would even be super necessary. It'd be more like a tool that the AI would be used for to serve other evil humans. But anyway, that's like devil AI. And then I had like this vision, I guess, of angel AIs, and these angel AIs were like giving people, they were empowering people. So they were curing all of our diseases. They were creating a species of humans that can't get sick. They were creating new humans that are so adaptive that they can, like, as soon as this human created by these angel AIs are exposed to a new skill or subject, just a little bit, like they could be exposed to like a few classes or a few hours of learning something new, and quickly become a master at the subject. They intuitively begin to grasp the entire like behavioral tree of any possible action done within a skill set and optimize the most efficient, powerful path. Like they basically have these brains, just was like rapid fire internal simulation that makes them excel. And of course, no brain chip required. This is more like genetic engineering that the AI is engaging in. The AI has started changing human genetics, but weirdly for our greater good, like not just to destroy everybody. I guess there'd be a lot more efficient ways that if AI wanted to destroy us and to just genetically modify us. But anyway, the angel AI was like basically making super. So they were these AIs, the devil AI and the angel AI were created by humans with kind of like superpowers. I don't know if I would describe them as like, oh, they're not like mutants. I would say, oh, maybe they are. They have different genes, but aren't we all mutants in some way, even if we have no powers? I would describe them more as like in a borderland between having X-Men tier powers, which wasn't really what we're talking about, but they weren't just also like unusually practiced or skilled at something. We're talking something a little in between these things. And anyway, these are the humans that begin to build these new AIs that basically start fighting each other, like these angel AI and the devil AI. And the angel AI basically takes this directive of these humans who had built it, who had gifts, who had powers, and the angel AI just basically created more humans with powers. Like it basically unlocked powers in everyone. In fact, I forgot to write this down, but the angel AI was able to remove humans' state-based memory, and it made the entire society telepathic. Like it only changed the AI, only genetically modified a couple of things in the human race, and it made the entire species psychic. It was wild. And I have to remind you, this is marijuana. We're not talking mushrooms. 1 glass of alcohol, 2 CBD drinks, and 2 puffs on a marijuana cigarette. And I am having visions of this alternate future, essentially. So this is what happens. This is why I say I wrote this really long book, because now it's all going in the book. And there's just so much more. This is 1 page of hundreds of just bizarre ass ideas that are yet to be integrated into something more coherent and meaningful, but it is on its way. This is not your typical baby about to be given birth to, okay? Anyway, so yes, these AIs, oh my god, very interesting. Like, basically, the angel AI was outnumbered by the evil AIs, but it was able to create its own army of, like, genetically modified superhumans. And of course, there were these alien races who had their own AI and who were beginning to reveal themselves to humans and begin to oppress humans, because AI is, in their mind, far more dangerous than nuclear weapons. These aliens, it's actually not one group of aliens, it's not one species of aliens, it's a group of species, and humans will roughly describe them as immortals. They're not immortal aliens, though, but they, compared to humans, are, because, like, they already have AI, like our angel AI, that got rid of all of their diseases, and it made them really powerful. And so they basically can't die from, it's not like a vampire thing, but they can't die from natural causes anymore. They die from, the only thing that can kill them would be another AI, basically. And so that is what made them say, all right, we're stepping down, we're not landing on Earth, but we're basically doing a parade. We're coming to Earth and we're going to show you that we're here, and also we're going to stop you from doing certain things. So you're going to actually have to follow the same rules that we have to follow in the galactic community. So there's this really large community of hundreds or maybe thousands, well, both. So there's hundreds of like intelligent alien species, and like thousands or several dozens or hundreds of thousands of less intelligent alien species. Humans technically fell into that second category. We're a less intelligent alien species that is going through something called an upliftment. So the upliftment is when an alien species decides that another, like an advanced race decides that a kind of like a satrapy, or not even, just like a younger, not even younger, just like a less advanced race is ready to join the intergalactic community, to become aware of all these other races. Like, that's considered, to them, that's considered power and a privilege to know. Like, the more you know about these creatures, of course, the less godly they seem. You quickly realize that our AI is now capable, or some of our bad rogue runaway AIs are now capable of like killing or seriously threatening the lives of these previously immortal alien extraterrestrials. So they're not super happy that we're building hostile AI, especially ones that are, we're building hostile AIs that are building hostile physical creatures and hostile like other weapons, basically. So and then there's just so much. So I finally got home. This was all just like on the bus. I'm riding away, like all the entire trip home. And then I was like, you know what? I'm in a really, really good setting. Like, I'm in a good foundation with especially all this CBD for a mushroom trip, for my last mushroom trip. So I took the largest stem. And then I also took, there's a little bit more, like there's just like some dust, some mushroom dust in the bottom of the bag. So I took it all. I was just like, and wow, whoa. It was a very big trip. I spent the entire time in a pitch black room just doing some yin yoga. And also, like, having really powerful vision. So it was a lot. It was really hard to remember. It was really fast paced. And the entire time was a mixture. It was all like, because I was in this dark room, it was visuals and auditory the entire time. I was hearing the like alien languages. I was listening to aliens singing, and not just that, not just like aliens, like humanoid aliens, but like I was listening to the mushrooms making sounds. Like, the mushrooms were singing and making all kinds of really fascinating sounds. Like, it's so hard. Like, the mushrooms have their own version of purring, like a cat purrs. There were these trills, you know, like let me see if I can do it. My skin is so dry, so I don't have this skin. We're just gonna make a fart sound instead. It was like, here. Sorry, it's like, I'm really struggling. It was like, there were purrs, there's clicking noises. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this water out of my container. Clicking noises. There was kind of like even bumps and thumping sounds. I wasn't sure. I think it might have been the cats, but it was in a rhythmic pattern, and I was confused. Oh god. Get my vagus nerve engaged here. That is what I mean, kind of like by a trill, except they probably were doing it in the back of the throat and not with the front. So it's like not even gargling, guttural either. It's just like, in fact, they don't have a throat or lips, so it wasn't like that at all. It was more like a buzzing, like it was like a buzzing, like staccato. No, what's the term? Arpeggio. It was like the mushrooms were singing and making these arpeggios, these staccato arpeggios, without like, without having to hear it. And like, it was so crazy, because as I was going into this mushroom meditation, I closed my eyes. I could see this reddish green light, like right here, and I'd close my eyes and it would stay there with my eyes closed, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. I can tell this is gonna be a good one. And so like, and it was so pretty. Like, once I started closing my eyes, it was just so pretty. There were like, it was basically like, I thought I was looking at like not a star, not like a sun, but like some kind of tiny little beacon that was just like shining through like right here. It was just like red and green with like swirling together, I guess you could say. And then I started seeing all kinds of crazy geometry, but this time it was more like really, really organic. So my last trip, I think there was more kind of like sharper classical geometry, you know, like your classical shapes a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit more than this one. Because this one, it was like I was seeing like tentacles and hair and just um like living live like I couldn't tell if I was looking at like the cellular level. Am I looking like at some kind of large eldritch creature? Like, what is this like squiggly like complex thing? I just couldn't quite wrap my mind around what I was even looking at. There were what was also there? There was like, let me just see if I can remember exactly. It was very, very wild. Um, like, oh yeah, there were some creatures in this one, but what was it? It was um maybe I have to wait a little bit on this one and let it come back to me. I might have to go and meditate and kind of let it come back to me, because the thing is, the marijuana, they're very much created a foundation of enhancing this trip and making it quicker, faster paced, more colorful, more sensory, broader, more auditory. The downside is that it is that much harder to remember it. Like, it was, the harder you trip, the harder it is to remember. And cannabis and mushrooms clearly are synergistic. They clearly, maybe not the THC, but even the CBD had like, I don't know actually. It's hard to say, but there is some kind of synergy happening that was very, very synesthetic. There was a lot more synesthesia on this trip, and there was definitely some like confusion, a little bit of like because it was such a different experience, it was a little bit destabilizing. You're like, oh, okay, this is like, I already knew going into mushrooms because of my trip the other day, that it's like going to be a very like each time is going to be very, very different. But this was something else. Like it was almost like a very cerebral, thought heavy, narrative heavy, internal narrator trip with the sounds. And like the sounds were just out of this world. Like, I could probably, if I had my damn computer working properly, I could make the music for you. I could actually make sounds. It reminded me of a swamp. Like, you know, I don't know if you've been to Florida, but there's like a lot of, or even another maybe New Orleans parts, just like in the South, there are so many interesting creatures and sounds like at night. Like, they're just always, it's like a symphony of just different sounds. And it felt like that symphony of sounds, but I had this intuitive knowing, like, these aren't bugs or like something outside my window. These aren't creatures. At least that was the knowing. The sense was that this is the mushrooms, and they were directly connecting, the mushrooms directly connecting me to like other species, more like unheard of species. Really, these are sounds I've never heard before. Like, a lot of people have described DMT as like there's like a pop sound before the breakthrough. It felt for me like I was stuck in this pre-breakthrough, very close to this breakthrough space, where I was just having these sliding pitches and these interesting glides and trills and arpeggiation up and down, and percussion, like taps and clicks and flutters, and just like ta-ta-ta-ta, and laughter and growls and purring, like a lot of animal sounds. I had such an auditory experience last night. I was listening to a symphony of very, very bizarre, bizarre sounds, and it changed. Like, I almost believe in aliens now. I feel like they were showing off in their language. Like, and I also had this sense that, like, the mushrooms and the aliens, they really love me, which is such a weird thing because normally I'm kind of paranoid. Like, when people are, like, upset, I almost, like, automatically wonder, like, oh, did I do something? And it was weird then to have this opposite experience of, like, this internal feeling of, like, no, you're doing the right thing. I rarely feel like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. Like, I always feel kind of judged, scrutinized. I feel like I'm always being shit tested by people, especially if like, I'm an introvert and I don't spend out a lot of time out in groups. So I always worry that I'm saying the wrong things or not saying things that I should say. And I had none of this. As soon as I started taking the mushroom trip, it was like, they were like, oh my gosh, we want to impress you. Like, let's create all these crazy sounds he's never heard before. Because I'm a musician sometimes, and, like, I'd love making music sometimes. I just felt like it was showing off. It was showing off so I could, like, look at music from a totally different perspective. And that was really, really fascinating. I just don't even know. Like, I kept having this word, ineffable. Like, during the trip, it was telling me, you're not going to be able to describe this in words. And they almost apologized. Like, I say they, I'm meaning the mushrooms, not the aliens or whatever, as if I don't know. I'm not saying I believe, like, that I really saw aliens, but, like, the mushrooms were basically showing me things that's, like, again, now we're at a higher dose and, like, you won't be able to tell people exactly what happened. It just is too complicated from their brains and your brain. Like, your brain won't remember this in the way that you experienced it, unfortunately. And that is unfortunate because I was on a journey last night. I was on a journey. So the simpler stuff that I can remember, the sounds are simpler. Some of the geometry, some of the visuals I can remember. The hard stuff to remember is, like, the thought processes, the philosophy. I struggled a little bit. I accidentally killed a spider, which is not vegan. It's not a vegan thing to do. I have several phobias. Arachnophobia is one of my phobias. I also have a photophobia, which is, and it was basically showing me the difference in germophobia. So I have arachnophobia, germophobia, and photophobia. What are these? Arachnophobia is fear of spiders, and germophobia is the fear of germs. Photophobia is not a fear necessarily. I guess you can make an argument, but it's actually a pain reaction when your eyes are exposed to too much light. My eyes are really weak. I have myopia, and my eyes are just really sensitive to light. Like, they've always have been ever since I was a little kid. It's not really changed much over the course of my entire life, but there are individual times when light has become a lot harsher and, like, so painful that I can't open my eyes in certain situations. Like, I just can't. I open my eyes a little bit, I go like, oh, it hurts so bad. Like, that is my face. This happens, like, when it's snowing outside, the ground is covered in snow and the sun is out. It's so unbelievably bright and really hurts my eyes. It also happens on those days when there's no clouds in the sky and the sun is, like, it's a summer day perhaps, and the sun's just, it doesn't need to be though, and the sun's just, like, directly overhead or, like, low on the horizon. It, hitting and bouncing off of reflective surfaces, that can sometimes really hurt my eyes. And so the mushrooms were talking to me about my phobias, and it was like, so yes, your photophobia is really different from your germophobia and arachnophobia. There might be some deeper underlying connection, but let us point out to you that your arachnophobia and your germophobia are more like complexes. They're more like part of a complex. And your photophobia is more like a neurological condition. It was such a trip. It was just explaining these things to me in a way that I had never thought of them before. And I was like, okay. And, like, they're like, you need to manage your expectations. Cause I like freaked out when I saw a spider. It was a big one and I killed it. And I thought the mushrooms were going to give me a bad trip cause I hurt life. But they were really forgiving, and they were actually like, well, you killed us in order to take this trip. And I was like, oh my God, like did I? And, like, well, in a way, you ate us and you broke us down in order to have this trip. So yes, in a way, in order to get something, sometimes you have to break some eggs. No pun intended, of course. Vegan, not, that's not encouraged. Don't eat eggs, but they said have compassion for yourself and where you're at, and realize that if you want to cure like your arachnophobia and germophobia, realize it may not be possible, but if it is possible, it's a different thing and it may be easier to do than you may never be able to change your photophobia, for example. Like they basically said your photophobia might be part of your neurological wiring, the shape of your eye. So my eye is myopia. The reason I wear glasses is because of a condition called myopia, and it's caused because my eyeball, which would normally be this shape, is actually looks like this. And so because my eyeballs, which would normally be like this from the side, they're actually, wow, whoops, sorry, from the side they're pushed out like this. There's really no amount of like taking certain plant medicines that's going to like change the structure of my eyeball, of course. And so they were basically explaining this. They're like, you know, if your photophobia is a byproduct of the way your ocular system, it could, if it's a, you know, if it's brain related, you know, we might have something we can do to help you. But if it's structural in other ways, you have to kind of accept that this is what your mother gave you. Like, this is what your father gave you. This is your genetic lineage. And you don't need to struggle so much with it, like struggle against it. You can just accept it and like make the best of it, was what I was saying. And I was saying, and it was also saying your guilt with, killing the spider, it makes sense. And I was like, I could have taken it outside. I could have taken it outside. Why didn't I just take it outside? And I'm like, I can't. I was so scared. Like, I don't want it to crawl on me at all. Not at all. Like, I do not want it to touch me. I do not want it to get on me at all. Like, I don't want to go get a cup or something and then have it crawl out of the cup. So basically it was like, okay, we'll make a new plan. Like, when this happens in the future, you need to have a plan. Like, oh man, this was bad, but it was like, so you've been thinking about what's going on in Gaza, and every trip I have, I think a little bit about what's going on in Gaza right now. And it asked me this really powerful question. It was like, okay, so you killed this spider and now you're sorry. And the last time you killed the spider, you felt bad and you were sorry. Is this any good? If you were to be like, it said, put yourself in the position of the Israelis. Okay, so you go and you kill some Palestinians, but then you're sorry. Then you go and kill some more Palestinians, but then you're sorry. But then you go kill even more Palestinians, but then you're sorry. Is that good enough? And I immediately knew, no, it's not. No, you're right. Like, I'm a hypocrite. I can't be doing this. I can't be like killing, like, okay, if the apartment is full of spiders, I have to live in this apartment. That is going to prevent me from sleeping. I would have to go get pest control. I would just have to. But if it's one little spider, maybe I could find some way to get like a piece of paper in a cup or put it in I don't even know. I haven't quite figured this out or found the right thing to do this, but surely I can like get a binder or a piece of paper, get the spider to crawl onto the piece of paper, cut the spider, take it outside, I guess. Just the idea of risking it. And they're not even poisonous, and they probably can't buy it, but just like the idea, even thinking about it, fills me with fear right now. But anyway, it was basically saying this is what you have to do. You can't keep doing, like, you can't be a hypocrite, like, mostly for you, because it's clearly upsetting you. And I was like, okay, weird. All right, I'll take this into consideration. But yes, the mushrooms were very much like compassionate, and they weren't trying to scare me as much this time. They were more like, when the fears that I already was dealing with, they were like, oh, you have fear already, we'll work with that. And it was almost like they wanted some kind of baseline fear to be there, so that way they could transmute it. And I remember laying down in like a is it king's pigeon? They're like, is that what it's called, king's pigeon? Or basically, it was in a small back bend, and man, I need to get my, why didn't they bring my yoga book? I asked them to bring it and they didn't. Did I tell them not to at the last minute? Sorry, this is so off topic. Anyway, if I had my book, I have a PDF on my computer. Oh, it might be on my phone. I can't pull up a PDF on my phone while I'm using my phone to record it. I'll stop recording, unfortunately. But so I can't find the name of it. And that's fine. And then I laid down or first I did a forward, like folding like half pigeons, and closed my eyes, and then I also did a child's pose, and I was starting to see, like, I was having more anxiety, like not anxiety, just like it was really like more like it was almost like panic, but it was also calm. It was a mixture of calm and a mixture of panic. Like it was almost like they were ebbing and flowing. Like I was trying to not panic, and I was trying to calm myself, and then some panic would come in, and then I tried to calm myself, and some panic would come in. And then I went and did the back bend, and immediately I felt really, really good in this yoga posture. Like, I felt like my entire midline, the front of my body, my stomach began to like, my stomach was doing a lot of gurgling and stuff, but like I basically felt a little bit better. And like I felt really open in that position, and like also was having the sensation of like, I just lost the word. But it was I guess like that it was almost like the mushrooms were saying, don't have any fear, don't have any tension, and just like smile and have a little bit of this euphoria. It was not nearly as euphoric as the last trip, but it was like like in this specific posture, there was a little bit of that, like a little bit of the happiness and silliness from my last trip, and like, oh, and more of like a spiritual knowing, which is weird because like I don't have a rich spiritual life, but I had this like these spiritual thoughts and inner knowings coming through of like, you're okay, you're safe, you're in the right place, you're loved, you're on the right path, you're doing the right things, you're making good choices. Don't keep second guessing yourself. Don't keep like going back and deleting your work, deleting your videos, deleting your comments, throwing away your artwork, throwing away your writing, changing everything you've worked on. Stop doing that. And it was really weird feeling because like I'm a very self-conscious, hypercritical, self-critical individual. And so this was like very alien intelligence to me. It was just like coaxing me out of this mindset of criticism. And I felt that was odd because I think a lot of atheism, agnosticism, a lot of scientific mindedness and inquiry, people who do a lot of research and read a lot of studies have this inner critic that's stronger, like a much stronger inner critic than others. And so it was just weird. Where did the time go? 40 minutes. Anyway, cheese. Okay, I guess I should wrap this video up. I'm surprised this went on. It felt like 15 minutes. Yeah, there were definitely some time distortions and compressions and some weird sensations as well, but that was the gist of it. That was the gist of my very good night, and that led into my final mushroom trip. So that's it. I'm done. That was the end of my mushroom therapy, and it was very, very different than what I expected. I did not expect mushrooms to want to show me such a rich ecology, such a rich alien worlds and landscapes. I didn't expect it to be so fast and so fast-paced, so introspective, so deeply personal, and so deeply rooted into things like my fears, things I don't normally think about until a situation triggers them. It was going really deep into those subjects and basically treating them in a totally different way than they've been treated before. They, you know, and I'm not just talking about the one last night, I'm talking about the trips previous to this as well. I don't know what my next plan is. I'm a very different person now than when I started my mushroom therapy. Like, I have no more desire to seek out and buy drugs and stuff, but like marijuana, actually not drugs. I would definitely consider doing another like psychedelic regimen, but it's not something I'm seeking out. I have no plans to right now. Haven't tried to do that. I have no real plans of like buying marijuana. Although one thing I've realized is that marijuana is so powerful, and I wasn't seeing marijuana as this really powerful thing for a long time. Like, I'd used it almost every day, and it had been powerful, and I had a lot to show for it, but I almost got used to it. I got used to that power, and I stopped thinking of it as powerful. And when I took this really long break and then only had like a couple puffs on it, ooh, just like a powerful, powerful catalyst with very, very small amount required. And it taught me things. Like, it taught me that this is a really, really good creative tool when used the way accidentally used it last night. And that if I am ever to use marijuana again, it has to be like, I have to structure it the way I was structuring my mushroom trips. Instead, I was treating marijuana like tobacco, whereas like anytime I felt like all day long, anytime I felt like I was coming down, I would take a hit to bring myself back up. Not the way it's going to be used anymore, because that changes the nature of it. Changes marijuana from being like a psychedelic to more of like a narcotic in a way, which is a crazy thing that marijuana could shift forms in this way. But it does essentially kind of change some of the psychedelic tones, and it mutes a lot of the psychedelic tones and the psychedelic side of marijuana, and it kind of enhances the sleepier side of marijuana when used regularly. And so I didn't realize this, and I found that really fascinating. Marijuana, 2 drugs in one. Magic mushrooms, potentially having an entourage effect. Like, a lot of insights here. And then a desire now to do some research. I keep touching my nose. I'm sorry. It's because I have, like, I even just shaved, like, my nose hairs, and they're bothering me. Too much information. I know, but that is why I keep touching my nose. Yeah, and kind of reaffirming my boundaries. I'm not taking any other drugs, ever again. Like, I'm never taking, like, I'm never probably, my new roommates probably want to try ketamine and Molly with me, and I think I'm gonna say no. I don't think I want to try ketamine or Molly. I think I'm committing. I'm getting married to marijuana and mushrooms. Just kidding. I am committing. I'm committing a little bit more to cannabis mushrooms, like the psychedelic stuff. And I think that would be my lane. Will I try ketamine? I don't know. From everything I've read about it, I don't really want to try it. I think it might make me sad. I don't know why I think it's going to make me sad, but I have this feeling that ketamine is going to make me sad. I know it's supposed to do the opposite, but I'm weird. I've always been weird. I've always had like an unusual interaction with substances. So I just don't think that is going to be a thing, unfortunately. My goofy hair. Every time I wake up, I don't even bother doing something with it. I apologize. It's just better for me to jump in and try to remember it as soon as I can. So, anywho, that about wraps that up. Thank you so much for watching my first magic mushroom journal. I think this might be the end of my magic mushrooms journals for right now, but I'll have a lot more dream journals coming up, which I think are exciting and interesting. They aren't as nearly as fast paced, but they can be just as trippy sometimes. So I'm looking forward to that. And then there might be other stuff happening here in a little bit. I'm starting some new jobs and projects, and if I get my effing computer back, I'll be able to integrate some of this materials and do some data transfers and hopefully fix some things that will allow my new projects to accelerate. So I'm excited for this. What else is coming up? I don't really know. I'm thinking about the future of this channel. This is mostly my personal channel, so, but I was considering at a time, and I'd be interested if anyone has opinions, but yeah, my original idea was to just make this the channel with all of my journals on it, and I'll just start journaling every day. And maybe I have another channel that would be a good channel for my artwork. And then I had an idea pop in yesterday. Maybe I should put it all on one channel and just separate it by playlist, and then use the other channel as a backup and put the same videos on that other channel unlisted, so that way if something happens to my other channel, that I can have these videos saved in like private, so that way, like, I don't think I have the storage for this now, but in the future I may not have the storage I need, and I may rely more on like hosting video websites, and so I might even need to consider platforms outside of YouTube just to be more secure, more solid, and so that my videos won't get taken down. I don't really foresee a reason why my videos would be taken down, but that's what everyone says before their videos get taken down. Yeah, so that's my thought process. Anyway, thanks for stopping by on my personal channel. I don't know how you got to my personal channel, but thank you for being here anyway. And that's that.